behind these homes, adding more homes even closer to that hillside. I do not know the name of the street above us from my vantage point. I'd be more concerned about the homes that are up there because the wind is certainly taking the fire that way. You know, it's been burning a long time, and in spite of the fact that it is as
this is down in Anaheim now.
Looks, from this point, it's only
these fires
trees,
broke out up in Napa.
Again,
you can see it on the map.
On the ground.
This is a live satellite.
We thought it was going to come take these pine trees,
Look at
but
that.
it did not. And as we said, the firefighters kind of sauntered in and sauntered out.
It's moving down to Southern California.
Because they weren't panicked or
right now.
That they had
There's
to
another look
right away. Certainly, the priority at this point is to protect homes, and if they think this is going to burn itself out,
1,500 buildings and homes have been destroyed.
Here, there were aerial drops. We have not seen any for quite a few minutes. The homeowner, where we are right now, has put his sprinklers
unbelievable. Now it's down into Anaheim.
So I'm not sure
the one just broke out down in Southern California.
We talk about that clearance. We talk about the ability of people to separate themselves from all of this, and a lot of that.
Now you've got Lake Country on fire.
At least at this point, back to you.
Right up there.
A much different story.
Now you've got Disney World, actually Disneyland.
Now what a
right down in here.
That's now on fire.
So Disneyland
unfortunately, we have
and wine country.
4 homes from what I can see that caught fire. These are the 2 different
There's
ones
another
that
live
I showed
look.
earlier on
This is
Banner
near
Ridge Drive.
Anaheim.
I think this might be Cloudview Way or Crestview Lane, but it's in that area. You can see firefighters on the ground, and just look at those flames. The way that wind is just driving those flames, how quickly it is engulfing that house, and then the house to the south of it. So
this is an unbelievable situation. They've declared a state of emergency for the entire state of California.
Earlier, I saw some homeowners trying to put out the fire on this home. Unfortunately, a garden hose really is not going to do too much in a situation like this, but their efforts are definitely worthwhile. Now, I want to show you that home earlier on Banner Ridge Road. This is East Banner Ridge Road. You can see, unfortunately, we predicted this one, that this home is a total loss. Firefighters realized they couldn't see this home, so their
people have been evacuated and they don't know.
Look at this home here. Look at the living room.
Literally, what's going on? I mean, they know there's a big fire,
engulfing this entire
but they don't know the status.
That's 2 homes on East.
They know that a lot of homes in their neighborhoods have been lost.
Any further homes in
this
this area,
but school that's been evacuated.
Hands full right now, doing everything they can to prevent any other homes from going up in flames. But at least as of right now, we can count 4 homes that are on fire.
And just to orient people, the area that Megan is over is northeast of where Vicki Vargas is. So significantly northeast of where Vicki is, but in essentially the same community here of Anaheim Hills. And to see those 2 homes on fire, and you've counted 4 now, Megan.
Yeah, 4 homes, and you know, it's really tough up here. In fact, our pilot, Jim Paul, are doing a great job. The winds keep blowing us around, so sometimes the picture gets clear. We see a lot of that smoke, which is causing those hazy pictures, so we're trying our best to get you these good shots. Unfortunately, the shots are not what we want to see. We do not want to see anybody's homes on fire. Sadly, this is the case here. And again, 4 homes right now. And in fact, Carolyn, when you were just talking a few minutes ago, I saw some of those embers just being traveled. They were just traveling in this area. So you know what? I not going to be surprised if we see that set off some spot fires. That's what firefighters call it.
Absolutely.
As I pull out, you can see this entire area. All these homes are threatened right now. Let me get back into this tight shot here of this home right now, fully engulfed here. And you can see how quickly this fire is engulfing the home. This is a wind-driven fire, and literally it's just been not even a minute since you saw this home start to catch fire,
and now this home.
Yeah, and look at it now. So unfortunately, these 2 homes, really, firefighters, they're going to be in what they call, I want to say, a defensive mode. These homes are goners. So what they're going to do is make sure that nobody's in the home right now. I'm sure firefighters are trying to make sure that there were no occupants. If there were any animals, they definitely do their best to try to get any of those animals out. But they want to prevent these other structures from catching on fire. So that's where they're going to concentrate their efforts right now, to make sure other homes do not catch on fire in this area.
And Megan, we could see some of those firefighters in the backyard of that home there. It also appears some of them on the street there.
Megan, can you push in or zoom into what I see burning just to the right in that neighborhood?
Yeah, I want to show you this real quick. This is another spot fire here, Michael. I'll show you. I'll pull back here. This is East Banner Ridge Road. You can see this home on fire, but one of those spot fires there in the yard. So that's what's of concern. You can see a firefighter out there right now assessing that situation. So he'll get that under control. If you were talking about this area here, I'm going to focus on this house, and we can just watch how quickly fire engulfs this house. Firefighters, again, are dealing with these two homes that are on fire. Again, this might be Cloudview Way or Crestview Lane in this area. So that's where firefighters are concentrating some of their efforts. Unfortunately, these two homes are a loss. What they are doing now is making sure that no other homes catch fire, and that's what they're going to be on a defensive mode, most likely in this situation here.
Well, okay, we see some water being applied there to at least one of those homes here, but we saw some firefighters, as Carolyn mentioned, there in the back of that home that's nearly fully engulfed. Can we bring Fritz Coleman in all right now? Because we had Sean in earlier talking about the winds and the wind gusts in that area. Have we seen a pickup at all, Fritz?
Anna winds. Right now in that area, the Anaheim Hills areas, we measure points from Yorba Linda all the way east to Corona, 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. I don't know that that reflects reality because you're in the hills. The hills have their own winds. The wind gets forced down through the canyons and passes and may be a little stronger. Everything is moving generally north to southwest. I do want to tell you, just by way of health initiatives here, we have the smoke starting to move down into north of Panorama Heights into the city of Orange and into South Anaheim, and ultimately it will continue toward the southwest with the Santa Ana winds down toward Garden Grove. And it's across the 55 now and north of the 22, the smoke is. So if you can see it, that's your cue to turn on your air conditioning and try to not expose yourself. If you can see the smoke, you can be affected by it.
Yeah, and certainly in this area, it is. This is an evacuation area. In fact, these streets that Megan is over abut to the elementary school that is also under evacuation. That's Running Springs Elementary. All the children are out of that school. They've been taken to Canyon High School. You know, Fritz, we also talk about, and you mentioned the winds that these fires create. Now, obviously, we're over homes, but in the hilly area where this is still burning, that can create its own issues as well.
Absolutely. The fire creates its own wind. The canyons, the little nooks and crannies of the Anaheim Hills, it's not as hilly as the Santa Ana Mountains, which are due south, hence the name Santa Ana winds because of the east-west canyon that goes through there. But it's very gusty up in there. Listen, 35-mile-an-hour winds in a fire situation are really devastating. And these are not the strongest winds. We're seeing 50-plus mile-an-hour winds in LA and Ventura County, 52-mile-an-hour winds in Camarillo right now, 40 at Oxnard. I mean, this is the first strong Santa Ana of the season. And that little pocket north of the Santa Ana Mountains where they're going to be stronger is probably a moderate measurement of wind compared to what the rest of the area, the rest of the southern third of the state is getting right now.
Yeah, so Fritz, thank you. And we're looking at what is happening here. Megan Reyes is a live shot from News Channel 4. We have seen over the past 5, 6, 7 minutes here. Again, this home not standing a chance here with these flames. Now a second one just to the left of it from our shot here. Again, getting bigger and bigger.
We want to let you know what we know right now. This fast-moving, wind-driven canyon fire, initially reported as burning 25 acres in the Anaheim Hills. We know that number has increased, and we've seen at least 4 homes on fire here on East Banner Ridge Drive, or at least that neighborhood of East Banner Ridge Drive, which is near Running Springs Elementary School.
Route 91
Mandatory
was the
evacuations are
area.
in effect.
Or the name of the event in Las Vegas. Remember that? Route 91 in Vegas. Now you've got Route 91 in California.
As we've been telling you, are being evacuated. Students are all safe. They've been taken to
Northern California.
There are shelters at the East Anaheim Community Center.
1,500 structures in the county.
Anaheim Community Center as well. The CHP is
that's
shut
up in
down
wine
southbound
country.
241 from the 91 south. The northbound side is shut down
right
in Santiago Canyon. CHP also shutting down the eastbound 91 at Weir Kid Road as well.
We should make note that there are a lot of people with horses in this area, and they are being told to take them to the west end of Yorba Regional Park. So for folks that are looking to evacuate with their large animals, they can take them to Yorba Regional Park, the west end of that park. It's such a challenging situation.
They're good for now.
One thing to bring up, there's been some talk of some people leaving their fire hoses out, and what we've heard in other fire situations is they don't want people trying to hose down their rooftops. At this point, that's really not going to make a difference. And if anything, it can affect the water pressure out there and cause issues for the firefighters who are doing their best on the ground. You can see this strong response here from firefighters in this cul-de-sac who have arrived on ground. And we've been watching the air assault on this as well, with numerous water-dropping helicopters. We haven't seen any of the fixed-wing aircraft over this area, but we have seen some water drops directly on these homes.
Yeah, typically they go for the terrain. This, I guess it was the first home that we saw burn in there, right over the home. And Megan mentioned, Megan Reyes in News before talked about those air jobs and what precision and calculation it takes to nail it, essentially.
Yeah, and also for the firefighters on the ground, you can see them trying to battle the fire there, and you can see as they the water shooting to the home that's on fire, and it's just being blown back to them. Right. So that's creating a challenge as well. And, you know, kudos to those firefighters. Despite this home being fully engulfed, they're doing their best efforts. They want to save everybody's home right now. This area here is just a little east of Running Springs Elementary School. Running Springs Elementary School is right there on Running Springs Drive. So we believe this home is in that vicinity at the end. Again, we're calling it possibly Cloudview Way or Crestview Lane. These particular homes. Two other homes we saw earlier, East Banner Ridge Drive. Let me just show you these homes. Oh my goodness, look at this one now. This one is fully engulfed. Now remember, this was the one we showed you a few minutes ago where just the downstairs was on fire. Well, this home is fully engulfed. And you can see how those spot fires jump from home to home. Right. This was the first one that caught fire, East Banner Ridge Drive.
Too windy.
And then the flames skipped that house and caught the second house on fire. Unfortunately, I think the one in the middle may be catching fire here on the east side as well. Because of that particular fire, somehow it sparked a fire just behind in the same vicinity. And oh my goodness, here we go. Another home catching fire. So that makes it 5 homes. This is just a volatile situation where home after home is starting to catch fire. You can see firefighters rushing on the ground. Their efforts to save this home. No doubt they've already pounded on the door, even though these areas were under mandatory evacuations. Sometimes residents don't want to leave, so they have to make sure nobody's inside. But sadly, look at these homes. This area here is just engulfed with fire. Home after home starting to fall victim to this fire that broke out.
This is in Anaheim. This is not Napa. This is Anaheim.
And just to reiterate, this is the East Banner Ridge Drive area, Cloudview Way, Crestview Lane that we're looking at. And these abut Running Springs Drive. So this is an area that is just south of the Kindred Community Church. It's sort of that neighborhood that is to the east of Running Springs Elementary School. And Megan, you know, what's so disconcerting here is to see there's a few houses in between that have not caught fire yet, but you almost are, the concern, of course, is both the embers and the radiant heat from these neighboring properties.
Right.
These homes are all very much at risk.
They're very close together. The radiant
that's the thing,
heat.
Carolyn, exactly. The radiant heat, you don't realize how hot it is, and that heat can just easily enough cause one of those homes to catch fire. So it's not only the embers that'll catch a home on fire, that radiant heat is also an issue. Now, because we have smoke coming out from the top of that roof there, that's indication that the attic is on fire. Right. The fire's pretty much vented itself. It's burned through the roof, so you can see those flames coming out of the roof. Firefighters are surrounding this particular structure. Most likely they're going to do their best to make sure it doesn't spread. They're going to try to put that fire out and save that homeowner's home. You saw earlier they were trying to save this home. In fact, I remember seeing this home. There was a homeowner using his garden hose trying to stop this fire from spreading. Unfortunately, it looks like this home's going to be a total loss, as well as this 2-story home in this particular area. Again, we've been mentioning all this is in the vicinity of Running Springs Elementary School, just to the west of it. And sadly, as I pull out, you can see more homes on fire. So far, I've counted a total of 5 homes, possibly 6, because that home in the middle there, that radiant heat with 2 homes on fire right next to you, most likely this home may catch on fire.
There's no way that
it doesn't, but indications it just might happen here shortly.
Just interesting to watch.
500 degrees down there.
Embers hopscotch from home to home. And as you mentioned, some are spared, you know, and 2 or 3 houses later, you know, another one catches fire. But
and these embers can travel more than a mile easily in these winds.
So, anywhere from a mile.
Surprised it's not on fire now.
Again, with these strong winds, You know, it's very hard to predict what's next or who's next, but the firefighters are in these neighborhoods right now. But
I mean, literally like 5 minutes
this home here when it first caught fire, and again, it is just completely destroyed. The one over from it, again, that was the second home that caught fire, and as Megan mentioned, 5 homes total. As we now watch the 5th there in the center of your screen continue to burn. So.
We've got Captain Larry Kurtz on the line with us right now from the Orange County Fire Authority. And Captain Kurtz, are you with us?
Come on,
Captain Kurtz, can you hear us? We apologize. We're having some issues with our connection here, but we're eager to find out from Captain Kurtz what the numbers are of firefighters fighting this now. Of course, a lot of mutual aid has been called in on this one. Initially, we were told 125 firefighters on the ground and in the air. I assume this number has increased at this point.
We had the captain on earlier here today and provided us with a lot of information. And of course, asked him the question, what do you say to those homeowners? Just say, yeah, I'm gonna wait this one out here at home. He was adamant to say, you know, if you're in the evacuation zone, get out. 45 minutes, 60 minutes later, this is what we're looking at now. So, again, he was telling folks to leave your homes with medications, with foods, with water, anything and everything that will sustain you for at least 3 days. Take your cell phones with you. And just reminding people that law enforcement will be in this area to leave your doors.
Again, this is Anaheim.
So
this is not
have
Napa.
access to your property. Pull the shades down. Leave the gates, like I said, and doors unlocked.
That house to the right.
It was an interesting point he made earlier that if you have draperies, he recommended pulling them away from the windows because those can cause a problem with the radiant heat and the drapes can actually catch fire. So pulling them away from the windows, I thought was an interesting tip for people. But you have to think about how many people in this area were at work and had no chance whatsoever to grab anything.
Yeah, we said earlier with that first home burning, you know, family left for school, left for work, like any other day.
And down here, they're going to have to watch because the winds are blowing the embers and the flames this way.
The house is completely destroyed. So again, I believe now this is the 5th home, Megan, that we caught burning as we were talking about the 3rd and 4th home on the same block. But again, there is some distance between the 2 homes that are burning next to each other and this home here.
So they're trying to protect this home.
Yeah, this is, guys, I'm going to show you. This is the home that's the most recent one that caught fire. You can see how the fire just hops, skips, and jumps from home to home. These 2 homes next to each other, both of them caught fire. Firefighters are still really trying to get the fire out here, but I think more they're concentrating to make sure it doesn't spread to any other homes. Let's go to East Banner Ridge Drive. You can see that home in the middle still fighting to survive. Has not caught fire, although that radiant heat no doubt is causing a lot of damage to that home.
That one.
Home on fire to the right and the left of that particular home. I want to pull out here because I'm concentrating on some tight shots to make sure we don't see any other homes catching fire in this neighborhood. Again, this is right near Running Springs Elementary School. So in this area, Running Springs Elementary School is somewhere right around here. In fact, there it is. There's your elementary school. So literally, it's just about a half a mile from the elementary school where we have this neighborhood on fire. Only 5 homes right now, and I say only 5 homes, but with all these homes so packed, tight, close together, you know, it's just a volatile situation jumping from home to home. Hopefully firefighters can get the upper hand, but right now we have 5 homes on fire in this neighborhood.
And at this point, you know, we talk about the importance of brush clearance, and of course that is so important, but what we're seeing now is obviously these are embers that are blowing and catching these rooftops on fire down the block from here. You know, some of these are like this one that you're over right now, Megan.
Yeah, and it's a good point. I mean, the homeowners do everything they can to protect their homes in event of a brush fire, and there's only so much you can do. The brush clearance you can see in the backyard over here, they definitely complied with the brush clearance, but there's really no way to protect your home in a situation of a wind-driven fire. Every single home in its path is a possible victim, as I would say, because these homes literally are defenseless in this type of fire. And so really, it's just a random
That's up in wine country.
Which home is going to go right now? And sadly, we have several homes here in this particular
area. Now the price
area.
of wine is going to skyrocket.
Fire, all these homes are
being
susceptible.
destroyed.
Firefighters are getting into this area. We're seeing a lot
There's
more
several
resources
vineyards in
being
there that are
here.
over 100 years
We have not
old.
seen any more water
flames. They're gone.
Water drops in this particular area. I know we have one air tanker on
Northern
scene, but they're not
California,
going to be in this particular area. They're going to be
structures.
focusing on the brush.
Vineyards, wine
to make sure the
gone.
fire doesn't spread and threaten any other homes. But right now,
down in
firefighters are
Anaheim,
dealing with this particular neighborhood. They've got their hands full and they're doing their best. And they want to be on scene. They're getting more resources here. So in case if another home catches fire, they can get those firefighters to that location immediately and do their best to prevent that fire from spreading. But as I zoom in on this house, moments ago we saw it just starting, and again we can just see how quickly that fire engulfs this house. Unfortunately, this house is defenseless against a wind-driven fire, and we're just seeing evidence of that as this fire is taking control.
And Megan, we're getting some new numbers in that this fire has now burned 500 acres with 1,000 homes evacuated, and you've spotted for us
500
at least
acres
5 homes on fire in the neighborhood
in less
where
than
you
an hour.
are, which is just east
Actually,
of
less
Running
than probably
Springs
40 minutes.
Elementary. And so we're talking about the streets East Garden View Drive, East Banner Ridge Drive, Cloudview Way, and Crestview Lane. These are all homes that are threatened in the area where News Chopper 4 has been flying overhead and picking up home after home here that has caught fire. In some cases, homes in between houses that are on fire have not caught fire. You see a number of fire personnel on the ground here doing their best to knock down these flames, but it's so challenging with the wind situation.
And in situations like this, homeowners can do what they can to prevent and try to, protect their homes. These roofs here, I'm talking to my pilot, James Pollard. He's indicating that these homes here, these are tile roofs. They are not flammable. He's an expert on that. He does roofing, so he knows, and he says that these are the type of roofs you want in this neighborhood. Unfortunately, with that radiant heating, you can see the home just really imploding on itself here.
That's
in this
what's
particular
happening.
home.
Those are
Unfortunately,
tile.
with a lot of that radiant heat and with that fire just burning at such a rapid pace, these tile homes right now are defenseless.
Yep.
Now, we don't have any
The
wood
weight
shingle
from
roofs
the tile is going to
in
collapse
this area.
the roof.
Otherwise, we would probably
Once
see
the
more
structure
homes
underneath is
engulfed.
compromised.
But sadly, it's just a few of these homes could not stand the flames, the intensity.
Those tile roofs are immensely heavy. Once those rafters are compromised from the fire, then the tile drops down, dragging fire with it to the lower levels. So the tile's not going to burn. The rafters underneath that support the tile are being compromised, dropping down into the other levels. So that's an impossible
task
to try to defend.
Where you saw those flames licking
That's why they're burning so fast.
Essentially catching that one on fire.
Yeah, correct. This one started, we witnessed it, we saw it happening with that fire burning up the hill. Fire burns quicker going up a hill, and with those 30-mile-an-hour winds, fueled the situation. I'm going to have to pull out here because we have a lot of that smoke. It did spark another fire in that area just 2 doors down. So you can see how fire kind of jumps from home to home, and we don't see fire, like you said, Michael. Fire in this area, evidence earlier, we had some fire right here in the brush area.
Disneyland.
So most likely it was some of those flames, fuel of the wind-driven, which sparked these homes on fire here. So that's most likely the case, and it's just a sad situation. In fact, as I show the backyard here, you can see the wind, the banner there, the trees, they're flapping in the wind. So that's just creating a challenge for firefighters. And look at these guys. They're trying to still prevent this home from catching fire, and you can see how those fire hoses there, the water, really not doing much right now, how the winds are taking control of that water. They're aiming for the roof. Sometimes it makes it, sometimes it doesn't, but they're doing their best, trying to save this homeowner's home. They want this homeowner to be able to come home and at least be able to salvage something, and so they'll do what they can to save any part of this home. But again, a lot more resources in this neighborhood in case if any other fires spark up, firefighters will be on scene so they can immediately respond to it.
This has gone from 25 acres to 500 acres in less than 45 minutes.
And a couple of streets over, but we saw
this is in Anaheim.
East Banner Ridge Drive just go up in flames. And again, as Megan mentioned, that was from the fire racing up the hillside, catching that one on fire. But the three you're looking at here, no vegetation burned behind these homes. At least we can see it's close enough the cause of what you're looking at. So with wind-driven fire, embers likely sparked these three here. As firefighters, you see them there on the ground there with hoses, again, trying to prevent any spreading of that fire there in the center of your screen. But again, that one is
how did that catch on fire?
By those flames.
And we know that the number of fire personnel on scene has grown to 200. So originally we were told 125. It's 200 now on scene and in the air. Again, 1,000 homes evacuated for what's being called the Canyon Fire 2. Keep in mind, a fire raced through this neighborhood very recently. So it's something folks here are all too familiar with. The acreage is up to 500 now. Of course, the main concern we're following are these homes on fire in this neighborhood that is south of the Kindred Community Church. Our Vicki Vargas has been on the ground as well, about less than a mile from there in an area that is also threatened right now. And as we've talked about these embers and how they can spread a mile, sometimes even 2 miles, the conditions we have out here right now are exactly what you don't want to see. This is the strongest Santa Ana wind Fritz has been telling us that we've seen so far this season, and it's not even, fortunately, the winds aren't blowing as strongly here as they are in other parts of Southern California right now, but it's certainly enough to create massive headaches for the firefighters on the ground and in the air as they work their best to put out these flames.
Can we bring Fritz back in here for a quick second? We talked about winds before, and you said that perhaps they had plateaued, but we still see them, gusting every now and then, of course, and we see as firefighters try to put water on these homes burning, the water sort of being blown away.
I think part of that combination, Michael, is the humidity. That's what really it's not even the temperature that activates a red flag warning, which we have throughout Southern California. It's the low humidity. You have humidity in Anaheim right now in the single digits, 8%, 12%, 10% down in the city of Orange. So that shows the reason for the evaporation of the water, not only from the firefighters, but the futility of trying to hose off the fire in your area with the garden hose. And
so
Carolyn
drop the fire down into the lower levels. Right. Those heavy roof tile.
That you don't do that. First of all, there's a danger in you being that close to the fire, and also it lowers the pressure for the firefighting equipment in that area. We have, as we look at our wind futurecast, this allows us to look into the future 24 hours. We've peaked. As a matter of fact, as the afternoon progresses, winds are going to go slowly down. Each Santa Ana wind has its own personality.
500 acres now burning.
And some get stronger in the morning, depending on
the Anaheim area. Here it is again on satellite.
The strongest period in the mid and late
right
morning,
here.
and
that's smoke.
Moving into the early afternoon. It will settle down by 5 or 6 o'clock tonight when we join you in our evening newscast.
There's another look. That is smoke.
It will resurge tomorrow morning about the same
That's
time.
That's up near Napa Valley, north of San Francisco.
In a 24-hour view, we have probably experienced the strongest.
That is huge.
All right, Fritz, thank you for that. We're approaching the top of the hour here.
Unbelievable.
Now. Bring you up to date with.
It's going to do a lot of damage.
We have on this. I'm Carolyn.
No doubt about it.
Michael Brownlee. We're
that is
terrible. This, obviously, a breaking news situation with lives in danger in this neighborhood.
People need to get out of that area right there, especially Napa Valley.
It's burned 500 acres in the Anaheim.
Be very careful up there, especially with those winds.
That have caught fire, and this one's growing.
Yeah, that's right. Again, as Carolyn said, at least 5 homes burning on East Banner Ridge Drive, and within that vicinity right now.
This is Anaheim.
Evacuations are in effect for but 1,000 homes east of Weir and Serrano, and have been extended to Knoll Ranch Road and Canyon Rim.
Running Springs Elementary, Anaheim Hills Elementary, those schools have been
91.
Evacuated. Those students were taken to Canyon High School. All parents received an emergency alert to pick up their children there. And there are shelters available at the East Anaheim Community Center, as well as the downtown Anaheim Community Youth Center.
California is
CHP
on fire.
Shut down the roads in this area, southbound 241 from the 91.
There it is again from satellite.
Also shut down. At
Napa Valley, north of San Francisco, it's spreading. That is out of control. It's taken out over 1,500 structures. It's moving down into Anaheim. It's not visible yet on satellite loop. Let's see if I can find it. It might be by now. Let's look and see.
Parents are out there picking up their kids.
SoCal right there.
Away from their homes, perhaps gathering.
Yep, start to see it right here.
traffic within this mandatory evacuation area is pretty much bottlenecked.
And this area that Megan Reyes is over for us right now, this area south of the Kindred Community Church.
So it's nothing like what they're having to deal with up north here.
Who were in that
Let's
initial
refresh this one again.
And who were told to get out. That was right around the 11 o'clock hour. They were told to leave. And it does appear that people did heed that evacuation.
Massive fire.
In this area. But as Michael and I have been talking about,
multiple fires.
How many of these people had already started their day, left for school?
Big heads up, guys, if you're in California, state of emergency, wildfires out of control.
Late morning hours, and we're watching
well over 1,500 structures gone.
In this area. So when you talk about
historic wineries gone.
Michael was just gesturing.
There's that house now. I figured that one would go. It was just impossible. This house here was in between.
This was a home we've been watching.
Yeah, in between two that were on fire. And now it's going.
Let's go back to Megan Reyes now. This is what we didn't want to see, Megan, but we anticipated this could likely happen.
Yeah, sadly, we knew this was going to happen there. This
both
was just defenseless.
Houses on the side of it were on fire.
This is on the East Banner Ridge Road Drive. This is the fire that we've been concentrating on. The home to the left,
unreal.
To the right caught fire. Skipped the home in the middle.
Yeah, it started there, skipped that one, and went over to that one. Now that one's on fire.
To this fire, you can see how all the smoke is coming out of the attic. That's indication that the fire is already engulfed the inside of the house. We have the attic on fire, as well as look at the flames there to the left side coming out from one of the rooms there. So sadly, this home, and boom, the home, they're just right next to it collapsing. Now that home collapsing, all that radiant heat.
These guys are doing their best to contain these fires, but it is
so unfortunately,
very
this is just
intense.
A very sad situation. As of right now, unconfirmed, but what we have witnessed here from News Chopper 4 is 6 homes on fire, 3 on East Banner Ridge Drive, and I believe the other one,
Banner Ridge Drive,
homes on
Anaheim.
East Crestview Lane in this neighborhood. So sadly, we have 6 homes that fell victim to this fire, and we can just see how quickly this home is going to be engulfed. Firefighters are not even on scene right now. Unfortunately, there's really nothing they can do. Most likely, they've already come pounding on that door earlier to make sure there was nobody inside. And Carolyn, as you mentioned, yes, it's under mandatory evacuations, but what happens because the homeowners, most of these people went to work today, they left home, locked the door, everything is normal, and unfortunately they're going to come home to nothing, and that's what just really makes this situation very sad.
These homes are so stacked close together, and I mean, to think that this one didn't catch fire sooner is
that is true.
And again,
they build these homes anymore so close together.
Obviously, it is the two on either side of it already.
I did a video about a year ago about how close they built a community down the street from here, about 2 miles. You could literally reach out your window and touch your neighbor's house. It is an incredible design flaw. If there ever were a fire, they're all going to go. It's going to create a domino effect. You can't do that.
We saw the smoke coming from inside this house that's in between these 2 homes.
Yeah, this place is unfortunately going to go very, very quickly.
Well prepared for fire. These are tile roofs in this area, not wood shingles.
So when the rafters underneath those heavy tiles weaken, then the roof will collapse, dropping the fire down into the lower levels.
A lot of these
That's why it will burn so quickly.
We build these homes right next to each other. Literally, reach your arm out, you can touch your neighbor.
She just said what I said. Maybe she heard me. I just said that.
Fire,
That's
it
weird.
just creates problems for firefighters, as well as the situation of which home is going to catch fire. So if you like, for an example, right here, one of these homes caught fire because they're so close together. The radiant heat most likely was the culprit.
But it's true. They build these homes way too close together.
Now we're going to show you
pack
another
in the communities, and more money for the developers.
Amber, just in its backyard is where we had a lot of the fire burning not too long ago. So that most likely was the result of an
It does look like they salvaged
that home over there.
those homes
now,
up there. That's good.
East Banner Ridge Road, and you can see this home was the first one that caught
here.
fire, and it caught the second home there from a distance, and the home in the middle just couldn't withstand all the heat. And again,
so
because
sad.
it's so close, and you can see how close these homes are together, that is most likely the reason why this home eventually fell victim to this fire. And you can see the flames just coming out of that roof right now. Firefighters, there's really nothing they can do. I do see a firefighter over here, but what he's concentrating his efforts on, you can see they're putting water on this roof. That may even be a homeowner, but they're putting water on this roof. They want to try to do the best to save this home and make sure it doesn't get 4 homes on East Banner Ridge Drive.
Well, you were watching NBC4's breaking news of this fire burning in the Anaheim Hills. Obviously, because of this major crisis in this neighborhood, we are interrupting days of our lives to bring you our continuing coverage of this fire that's burned at least 6 homes here in the Anaheim Hills right now.
Double check the satellites again. They update automatically.
Homes evacuated, and
let's refresh it.
Here, as Carolyn mentioned, at least 6 homes burning on East Banner Ridge Drive and in the surrounding neighborhoods. Right now, mandatory evacuations are in effect, as I mentioned, for 1,000 homes.
See the smoke
in Serrano, and have been extended to Knoll Ranch Road and Canyon Rim.
We've been bringing you some very powerful images from News Chopper 4, but right now we want to take you out onto the ground.
That is massive.
Our photographers, Fabian Rodriguez, has set up a live shot in this area, and we want to give you the view from
massive smoke
here on
plumes
the ground, and you can see that this rooftop is on fire, and this is a different neighborhood than where Megan Reyes is over. I believe we're still trying to firm up the street here, but
this is a different neighborhood.
It's disconcerting to see. You do see a number of firefighters on the street here doing what they can to put out the flames here, but there's so many homes on fire, it makes it extremely challenging.
Yeah, we talked about at least the 6 homes, 3 of which are on East Crestview Lane. The 3 others, as we've been mentioning, are on East Banner Ridge Drive. The ones at East Banner Ridge Drive, actually one in fact was burning, it was a fire that burned up the
this
hill.
This is in Anaheim.
Caught the house on
not
fire.
Napa Valley. Napa Valley is
then sparked the house
dealing with a huge situation up there in wine country.
Right now is now 3 homes in a row on fire, and as we
cost of wine's going to quadruple.
Lane as well, 3 homes burning there. One of which has some space in between the other 2 that are on fire.
Yeah, this is just such a challenging situation for the crews on the ground, and I would imagine this does limit to some degree some of the water drops that can be done on this area, because you have a number of fire personnel there on the ground with their ladder trucks extended as they work to put out these flames.
Very tough situation.
Obviously, some of these homes are total losses, but they want to get these flames knocked out so that there's not the risk of these embers blowing to other locations. But as Megan, we have, you can see the thick, dark smoke here from our position on the ground, and it's really startling.
Yeah, we've got a location here from this ground shot that provided to us by Fabian. It's South Canyon Heights Drive. Not sure whether this was part of the mandatory evacuation order or not.
That street runs East Banner Ridge Drive, turns into Canyon Heights Drive. Okay, so this is sort of a ground view of the area that Megan has been flying over for us. So this is the same neighborhood where we're seeing issues, and it looks like we have another reporter on the ground for us as well, gathering some information, because this is going to be, as Megan now shows us, those 3 homes, and that's Banner Ridge Drive on the ground. And I believe Fabian is just around the bend there on Canyon Heights Drive.
All right, and we also got word of yet another evacuation area in the city that includes all residents of North Santiago Road. Anaheim fire officials say evacuated residents with large animals can take them to the Orange County Fairgrounds. We had another evacuation center for large animals, particularly horses, in downtown Anaheim. At the Yorba Regional Park. So again, now Anaheim fire officials are telling evacuated residents to take their large animals to the Orange County Fairgrounds. Again, new information coming over the wires as we speak.
Well, let's get right to Patrick Healy. He's on the
fire getting ready to come through those walls.
Carolyn, we're on a street called De Santiago, which just is off Hidden Canyon, just south of Serrano. Over my shoulder, you may be able to see, oh, look, there goes a fox. There's a palm tree that caught on fire. There's an Anaheim police officer stopped as we were pulling out. He was trying to put that fire out to protect the homes around here. Now, photographer James Wolf, if you pan the camera to the left, you can see we're overlooking a canyon. And just on the other side of the canyon, well, the smoke is so thick, but there are 2 large homes that are fully engulfed on the other side of the canyon. From our vantage point, I can't tell you what street they're on. They're across a large hollow from us, but the one house on the right is completely destroyed, burning very heavily, and there's another house farther to the left that is also fully involved. Since we have been in this neighborhood in the last few minutes, we have seen a number of fire engine vehicles come up here. They made turns onto other streets where we saw another home was starting to catch fire. They were going to that location, it appeared. And oh my goodness, that fire is just growing in intensity. Now, these homes in this neighborhood here are very large. I would estimate on the order of 4,000 or 5,000 square feet, maybe bigger. They all have Spanish tile roofs. They all have stucco exteriors. So they have about all you can do to fireproof your house.
Probably $1 million homes.
This fire is catching some of these
based
houses.
off the sheer size, and in California, it's $1 million home.
The traffic was very thick of people trying to leave the neighborhood. The roads that were leading up into the hills were, once you got off the freeway, were relatively open. And firefighters are now coming to this location as well. We have not seen very many residents in this area. It appears to us that most everyone who's, the smoke is very thick here. Most everyone who was here appears to have evacuated this neighborhood. And the fire actually has come right up to the ridge. James, if you can continue panning the camera to the left here, you can see that second fire on the hilltop that we were referring to. The fire actually came all the way up to the edge of this road, de Santiago. The cross street is Via El Estribo, and the road served as a fire break. The fire did not go any further.
6 minutes, and that house is almost totally gone.
The entire canyon below us is gutted, and we count at least 2 houses on the rim of this canyon that are still burning. And James, if you had a chance to pan farther to the left, do you see that other house that's burning? Yeah. And as we continue panning to the left, we are facing the camera roughly due south at this point. And you can see there is still thick, heavy smoke behind it. So there is still intense fire burning into fresh fuel on the other side of that ridge, on the south side of that ridge behind us. Where we are here, I think this position is fairly secure because fire has already come up to the roadway, has already burned out the fuel. There's no vehicle to get the fire up here. But those homes on the other side, from the intensity and the thickness of the smoke, there have to be many more homes on the other side that are in jeopardy. Now we hear air support coming overhead, and yeah, it's an air tanker. Let's see if we can follow that and see where he's going to make a drop. I mean, these houses on the other side, they're lost. It would be a waste of water to try to do anything there because those houses are beyond saving. But his mission now is going to try to protect other houses that are endangered by the fire's advance. This fire, they're calling it Canyon 2. Oh, here comes another Sikorsky air tanker. They're calling this Canyon 2. The point of origin was relatively close to Canyon 1 2 weeks ago, but the wind conditions today are entirely different. That fire 2 weeks ago, the wind was pushing the fire towards the east, towards Corona. This today, with the Santa Ana winds, it is pushing the fire west towards Orange County. So the two fires going in opposite directions, and therefore this fire is going into new fuel that was not burned off 2 weeks ago. I'm going to catch my breath. Patrick Healy, NBC4 News, back to you.
All right, Patrick, thank you. And just to give you Patrick's location here, once again, Avenida de Santiago, the cross street there, east via El Estribo. Again, that is his live shot there in the left upper-hand corner of your screen. Again, Megan Ray is live overhead in News Chopper 4 of these two homes burning. I guess 3 homes now burned on East Banner Ridge Drive. Megan, are you still with us?
Yeah, we're still with you. Yeah, we're looking at this. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, just to see minute after minute after minute to see what is happening.
Massive fires.
And firefighters are
unreal
in that area there, but there's just no saving these homes.
No, this home here, this one in the middle, is a loss, unfortunately. You can see
this is
firefighters
Anaheim.
right here.
There are other fires burning out of control in Napa Valley, north of San Francisco.
This home to the west from catching on fire. He's standing between the home that's fully engulfed and the home that is not. In fact, it looks like they're actually foaming.
Yeah.
They're putting some of that foam retardant on that house right now to prevent that radiant heat from breaking the windows. And that's usually what happens. The windows break, and then that catches the drapes on fire. and then the rest is just the domino effect on those homes going up in flames. So sadly, we have these 3 homes. I know we were talking about East Banner Ridge Drive. Sometimes we may get a street wrong from above. We're about 2,000 feet above. We're trying to do our best, but I know those ground units are really good. Those camera operators, they can tell us exactly where those homes are burning, and this is just down the street. Earlier, these 2 homes caught fire. Earlier, I mentioned a homeowner was trying to save this particular home. Sadly, the efforts were not successful. That home is destroyed, and then just a couple of homes down here. We're watching this one burn right now. So unfortunately, 6 homes, but fortunately, it could be a lot worse considering how close they sit together in this neighborhood. And 6 homes right now fell victim to this fire. Very, very sad story here.
And Megan, you're about, by my estimation, about a mile or so northeast of where Patrick Healy is. And Patrick, you're just south of the Walnut Canyon Reservoir. We want to go back to Patrick Healy on the ground there in that neighborhood, East Avenida de Santiago. Patrick, have you had a chance to catch your breath and join us again?
All right, guys, I'm gonna.
Apparently, we're not able to make that.
Look at the satellite one more time. Again,
a number of the
Napa Valley, north of San Francisco, huge wildfires burning. I'll try to find a live feed of that. Here's another look at it. This is Northern California. I just sent a message to a friend of mine. It's actually one of our UV team members up here in Redding. See if I can get some information from him, see how he's doing. But these are huge wildfires up there, having a hard time
I got a call from my
control.
office this morning about, I think, I'm not sure exactly what time it was, but anyway, as soon as I heard, I rushed home, hooked up my water hoses to fight the fire, or, to extinguish it if I could. And so I came home and waited for probably 45 minutes or an hour before the fire finally came over across the road here.
All right, let's do a favor. Let's show our audience what you're talking about. So this is Avenida de Santiago, where we are here. Take a few more steps out, sir, if you would. And I just want to be able to, a couple more steps, if you would, to be able to show our audience where the fire came from. So it kind of burned up the canyon here.
Whenever I first noticed it, I was waiting for it to come, and then all at once I looked out and saw the flames coming up over the dry grass and brush over here. And then I thought it burnt all the way around. And then
one more time, guys.
Then it started burning all
see
the
them from space.
Around, and,
those are very intense wildfires.
Still burning.
Those are going to be very hard to get under control.
Your neighbors have evacuated?
I am not sure
Wow.
if they have.
Thanks for watching, guys.
But I think
and be safe out there.
Told to evacuate.